What's up, everybody? Andrew Mahone here with Darian's Pokemon. Going to be playing a game on PTCGO today, and today I am rocking my very own Buzzwole Garbodor list. This list is a list that me and some friends crafted last weekend while we were watching the Oceania International Championships. It's a pretty unique list, though. It is a little bit similar in essence to the list that the junior player ended up finishing in the finals of at Oceania. Just Buzzwole Garbodor with max elixirs. It's really just Turbo Buzzwole with Garbodor. It actually reminds me a lot of old school Yveltal Garbodor. I mean, really is very similar in essence. We got Carbinks in here. I love Carbink. Played Carbink at Dallas. Saw a lot of players adopt Carbink into their lists after I had played with it at Dallas. So that was really exciting to see other players adopting Carbink into their fighting decks after I had done so. That was really cool. I think we saw, two Carbink fighting decks finished in the top 8 of Oceania, so that was really neat. And then also, this deck, a similar version of this deck, finished in the finals of the Juniors Championships at Oceania. So that was super cool as well. You can notice that we are playing the Safeguard Carbink. I'm playing 2 of these because of Mew. I mean, actually, so before I set up Garbodor, Carbink can act as a sufficient wall against Mew, which is pretty cool. And also, I love Power Gem as an attack, just having a nice little 2 energy attack to use. You can see we're playing Nest Ball as well. This list is pretty unique in that, let's see, I got to think of who I want to go for. I've just got this Mew in the active. This list is pretty unique in that, we are just playing pure consistency. We just want this list to work the same way every single time. Just want it to do exactly what it's supposed to do and just function better than most decks. So with the consistency that you got with a Garbodor deck, and a Buzzwole deck, I mean, really we're just trying to run our opponents off the field as quickly as possible while also locking down their abilities so they don't have a lot of options. I mean, really just the aggression of like a turn 2 Absorption GX combined with Ability Lock, and then the fact that I could just recharge my resources with Carbink if I need to, it just makes this deck extraordinarily aggressive, which is very cool. I am going to slap this Fighting Fury Belt on my Buzzwole. I don't know, maybe it'll make it survive something if my opponent tries to hit into it with that Mew. But I mean, if my opponent has, I don't really think that there's any way they're going to knock out this Buzzwole with this Mew next turn. On the other hand, I can go in very aggressively for that Mew. I could go Ultra Ball for Lele, Guzma the Mew, and Absorption it, or Knuckle Impact it, or something like that, which is an option for me. This list, though, as I was saying, it's just built to be pure consistency. Not a lot of flares in this thing. It is just kind of straightforward Buzzwole with Ability Lock, and it works really well. It's very effective, and I think bringing this to a regional championship is kind of a smart idea. It is kind of a cool thing because this is a brand new format, and I think Garbodor decks always do well in a brand new format. People are bringing all their new tricks, all their new decks. They have all their new archetypes they want to play, and Garbodor just shuts down these new things that your opponent is trying to do. So we're gonna see if we could just get there with just straight consistency. We got the Carbink in here, we got Parallel City in here. Obviously, Parallel City and Garbodor go excellent together. This is something I've known for a long time, I mean, even all the way back to 2016 regional championships. Wow, I got 3 Cynthia in my hand, but I played a Yveltal Garb deck with 3 Parallel City in it and got to the finals against Jimmy Pendarvis's Yveltal Garbodor with 2 Parallel City in it. So Garbodor and Parallel City, they have always loved each other and they go very well together. Let's see. My opponent, I have to imagine that they don't have Golisopod in their hand right now, or they might have played it. I really want to get a Garbodor to shut off what my opponent is trying to do. I also want to get a Carbink, but I think Garbodor probably is more important. So let's just go ahead and grab that Garbodor, get that thing set up, and then we're just going to Cynthia and maybe just hope that we draw a Floatstone. That's probably going to be the play. Just Cynthia, hope we get a way to retreat this thing. And we didn't, so that's sweet. And we're just going to go ahead and pass. I'm not going to rip 3 max elixirs onto this Buzzwole, so we're just going to let those stay right there in the deck, and we'll wait till next turn. Really no rush. We got Garbodor out. So long as my opponent's not sitting on like Field Blower, Guzma, and Grass Energy, and Golisopod. Like if they have a hand that looks like that, then we're in a horrible situation. But I assumed since they had played nothing, since they had not played anything, that I probably was going to be in the clear there. Looks like we got our other copy of Carbink here, a Sycamore, and a Strong Energy, so that's pretty cool. If my opponent does not knock out my Carbink this turn, it looks like they are going to be knocking out my Carbink, and they have this dumbbells on there. That is actually going to be horrible for me to deal with. That makes their Golisopods have like 250 hit points. However, I can deal with that with an absorption. That's no problem whatsoever. Absorption, we've got what, 4 times 6 plus the strong plus that Fighting Fury belt. We're going to be doing plenty of damage. Fortunately, we have our backup Carbink here, which is nice, just in case we need it. I'm also going to go ahead and search out another Buzzwole just to have that guy on the bench so I can start stacking on him too. And I will probably put another Floatstone there and just Sycamore this hand away. And let's see, we got a Max Elixir. Parallel City is so good against this deck. I really like that. So let's go ahead and parallel my opponent and make it so that they have to remove some things from their bench. I mean, their bench, they're going to remove these Lele's, but that's fine. It makes it more difficult for them to be able to set other things up while I'm teeing off here. Can also try to rip a couple Max Elixirs. We got 1, and if we can hit the second one, I mean, that is pretty crazy too. I think we're just going to go ahead and try. We got it. So now we got 2 Buzzwoles built up, Garbodor, and this is exactly what this deck is supposed to do. Just go in with an early absorption. Even if my opponent were to knock out this Buzzwole with like Field Blower and Mew this turn, it would not matter because I have got just a benched Buzzwole ready to go. And the amount of just sheer pressure that this deck is applying to the opponent right now is insane. I mean, look at this. We've got 2 built-up Buzzwoles, and we've got a Carbink, we've got Garbodor. I can actually just Ultra Ball for Carbink, break next turn, evolve into that. Like I said, even if this thing goes down, I don't really care. I've got a response to it, and I could just lock the abilities right back up. I mean, my opponent is going to have a hard time responding again. And I've got Guzma in hand, so I could just go knock out Mew, lock things up with Garbodor, and then if my opponent does not knock me out on the following turn, then I just go Guzma, knock out this Dawnwing's Necrozma, and that's game. I mean, that's insane. I feel like Garbodor just goes so well with Buzzwole right now because one of the biggest Buzzwole counters is Mew. So you make your opponent have to try and hit the things that they need in order to take the knockout. If you just let your opponent just Mew your Buzzwoles, I mean, you're going to be having a hard time. You need to try and haze your opponent's setup in some kind of way. And that's why I was playing Parallel City all the way back at Memphis because it allowed you to kind of haze your opponent's setup and allowed you to make them stumble in some significant ways, made it harder for them to get their techs out against you, made it harder for them to draw with Zoroark, and it looks like my opponent does not have it, so they are just going to eat this. There's nothing more to it. I'm going to lock things right back up with Garbodor here. I almost feel like just knocking out the Dawnwings. That way I know I have that Mew to knock out later. I don't even mind just going ahead and just playing down my Max Elixirs, things like that. We got a 3rd Buzzwole built up. This is insane, and I just absorption, so I could just freely Knuckle Impact this thing, and oh my gosh, it resists me? What is that? This thing resists me? Okay, I was rambling too much. I did not see that this thing resists me. That's fine, though. I don't really mind that so much because that's just going to be a Jet Punch away from being knocked out unless my opponent Acerolas it this turn, but that's my bad, guys. Sorry, I did not ever read that the Dawnwings has a fighting resistance. Goodness gracious, I did not even look at that card. I'm just out here rambling about how much I love this Buzzwole deck, but I do love this Buzzwole deck. Actually, me and my friends are calling this thing Fight Guys 3.0. Looks like we got there anyways. My opponent realized they were not going to be able to deal with the fact that I had 3 Buzzwoles and a Garbodor built up. I'm going to roll this thing one more game so you guys could see it in more action, but we're calling it Fight Guys 3.0 because Fight Guys 1.0 was our version of the fighting deck that I played at Memphis, just Buzzwole Lycanroc with Parallel City. That was kind of our first iteration of the Buzzwole deck. And then Fight Guys 2.0 was the Dallas list that played the Carbink. That's kind of where we brought in the Carbink, realized how good Carbink was, and kind of got to see those cards interact together. And this is Fight Guys 3.0. I feel like we're nearing the end of the tunnel. Like, obviously Buzzrock is just super, super good, but people are finding out how to play around Buzzrock. And I think Garbodor is just so good right now because Garbodor Parallel City is just very good against Zoroark decks. Zoroark decks are showing that they are kind of like the epitome of the format right now. So really the best thing that you could do against a Zoroark deck is just lock it up with Garbodor, Parallel City them, and then take big knockouts on their Zoroark. I mean, really, when they got all of that going against them, Tord was showing off just how busted his deck was. I mean, he has so many different things he could do, so many different options for how his deck is just able to take advantage of the rules of the game. All right, hold on. Let's make this play real quick. I would love to start off with a turn 1 Lily, so let's try and do that. I'm also going to turn 1 Parallel City my opponent, which is just awesome. That's great. We're going to do that. I'm also looking at potentially going in with a turn 1. Let's just Ultra Ball these things here. I'm going to get rid of the energy because I don't really care because Carbink can accelerate it. Let's just grab a Trubbish. I think probably would have been better to grab a Buzzwole there so I could play the Max Elixir. That was my fault. But let's just go ahead and Lily. And we'll also Ultra Ball away these 2 fighting. Actually, yeah, these 2. No, we'll get rid of the Carbink. Yep, and now we'll grab the Buzzwole. And let's get Buzzwole up in here. And that way we can attach an energy and Max Elixir to it. Looks like my opponent does not want anything to do with my deck there. Doesn't want anything to do with the Garbodor, Lily, all that. Maybe they're not playing any copies of Floatstone. Let's go ahead, or any copies of Field Blower. Let's go ahead and get it for one more game. See if we can get an opponent who will stick around to see the Buzzwole Garbodor deck in action. But I'm excited about this thing. I think, obviously at the time that this video is airing, I will be in the midst of playing it. So hopefully it's going well. We got a bunch of people that are going to be showing up with this thing, unless there's any last minute changes. I mean, I doubt there's going to be any like kind of late game plays for a different deck at this point. But to my knowledge, I got at least me, Natalie, and Riley Hulbert are all on this deck, and we're playing the same 60. We've been testing it for a week, and it's something that we've kind of been thinking about. Actually, truthfully, what happened was I was just playing Buzzrock on PTCGO, and I got my butt kicked by one of these Buzzwole decks that also played Garbodor and Max Elixir. So I just got smoked by this thing, and I was astonished because I was like, I'm playing Buzzrock, and they're playing like a Buzzwole Max Elixir deck with Garbodor, so like my deck should be more consistent than theirs, and I should beat them, but I just didn't. Like, they just hit their Max Elixirs to just teed off, just absorption, and just like beat me into submission with an early Garbodor, and I was just like, whoa, that hurt. And so then I built it myself and was like, yeah, this deck actually rocks. Like, this thing is great. Really reminds me of those old Yveltal Garbodor decks, just how aggressive they can be combined with, and look how awesome Nest Ball is. We're playing 2 copies of Nest Ball, and it's going to allow me to make just some really sweet early game plays here, getting my cards set up. I mean, that's fantastic. We also got Nest Ball. Gonna go ahead and get Buzzwole. I mean, I could get Zygarde here. I actually don't mind getting Zygarde. I think I'll get Zygarde just in case I can knock this thing out on the first turn of the game. And then I'm going to get Parallel my opponent. And let's go ahead, Max Elixir. We hit it. 4 fighting energies. Oh my goodness. We hit that. So Zygarde is cool just because he can do things that Buzzwole cannot. And is also not weak to not weak to Psychic. That's the big thing. We don't want our entire deck to be weak to Psychic. That would be great. Let's go ahead, try to rip one more Max Elixir, try to thin our deck a little bit. Just because we don't really have anything going on right now. This is where Lucario would be awesome. And my opponent scooped again. Oh no, will anybody give me a game? Let me get a game in. I know you all are super not stoked about seeing a Garbodor deck that's just like also got Buzzwole in it. But that's the whole point, is that you're just so aggressive with Buzzwole, and then you also just lock them down with Garbodor. And because we play the nest balls, right, we actually can get away with just playing a thin Garbodor line, just 2-2, like back in the day with Yveltal. Just a 2-2 Garbodor line, you'll set it up, and once you set that thing up, it's just enough of an annoyance that your opponent has a little bit of trouble trading with your Buzzwoles. And when your opponent stumbles to trade with your Buzzwole can just take down a whole field of whatever. It doesn't matter what it is. If your opponent stumbles at all to knock that thing out, it is going to just wreak havoc on your opponent's side of the field. So that's the hope. Hoping that the regional championships, this thing does well. I'm excited about the list. It's just so straightforward. It's so consistent. I mean, the deck is just full of juice. There's nothing, no gimmicks about it. This thing feels good to play. Little interesting fact, we're actually only playing 2 copies of N as well, and that's because it's a Garbodor deck. So at the end of the game, we don't want to be drawing, let's see, did I get anything? Oh boy. We don't want to be drawing our copies of N, because this deck will go up on prizes very fast. So it'll go up on prizes quickly, and then when it goes up on prizes quickly, you don't want to have Ns, because Ns don't draw you cards. So you want to be able to play cards like Sycamore, Cynthia, Lily, cards that actually refill your hand. So that's the logic there. But we do need to keep some copies of N, or else we will surely deck out. So like that was the thought process. My opponent does not like my filthy large hand and is going to go ahead and end me. That's fair. Fair play there on my opponent's part. It looks like they are probably playing Buzzwole Lycanroc if I had to guess, but they could also be playing Buzzwole Garbodor. It looks like from the Brooklet Hill, gosh, I love it when they play Brooklet Hill for me. That is great. I also have Lily in my hand, so that means that I can actually burn some of this hand down. I can Brooklet Hill, grab myself a Buzzwole, Max Elixir, slap an energy on there, and then hopefully Lily for a good amount of cards. We are playing Lily in here just as the one of. That was something cool that I actually picked up from people playing this at Oceana, because just the one of Lily, it's like the same thing that Ryan Sablehouse and that also Igor were doing in that Volcanion list, where they were playing one copy of Lily, because it could just make for some really strong turn ones. Really like that. Let's go ahead and see if we could hit it. We did not hit our Max Elixir. Oh no. I could just go for knockout on that Remoraid. I think I'll probably do that. That like feels a little bit better than just jet punching into this Buzzwole. That doesn't really seem to make a lot of sense. I think I'd rather just take the knockout here, and then next turn maybe Brooklet Hill again and just continue from there. So we'll just jet punch and then hit into that Buzzwole. I think if I had hit that Max Elixir there, I might have just tried to Lily and then see if I could Lily into another Max Elixir, maybe hit the second Max Elixir and go for turn 1 absorption on the Buzzwole. But I think knocking out the Remoraid is really good, and just getting an early prize off of that, knocking it out. Maybe my opponent was sitting on Octillery and wanted to start setting up. That's probably the reason they went for the Remoraid and not the Rockruff. So that was kind of my read on that situation. Let's see what we could draw here. My opponent doesn't seem to have a whole lot going on. I can go get my Carbink now, or I could get a second Buzzwole. I think I'm going to start setting up a second Buzzwole here. I'm not going to commit another energy to this guy. I think I could like Guzma up the Rockruff and hit it with this second Buzzwole. I don't really want to do that though. I think I'm probably just going to end up sacking this active Buzzwole. That probably makes the most sense. And I'm just going to Cynthia. If I had had another Fury Belt, I might have gone for a knockout on one of those bench guys, but I didn't have it, so that's fine. Let's go ahead and grab our Carbink, get him out the deck. We got another Buzzwole going on. We got a Garbodor, but this hand is a little bit sketchy. It's a little bit dead. That's fine, though. The Fighting Fury Belts work really good in this deck, too. They make it harder for your opponent to take crucial knockouts. Can we hit it? We can. They make it harder for your opponent to hit certain knockouts that they need. Speaking of that, I'm not going to bench another Pokemon right now just to make it more difficult for my opponent to take the knockout on this Buzzwole should they have, the cards in order to Guzma or Lycanroc it up or something like that. So I am going to, let's see, Jet Punch and then probably do 30 damage just to the Rockruff because Lycanroc's 200 hit points is just like a little bit annoying to deal with. My opponent's got 90 damage on this Buzzwole. Let's see, 30, 50, 70, 80. I can do 80 with a Jet Punch next turn from this Buzzwole. I'm assuming they're just going to like Absorption me or not Absorption me, but Knuckle Impact me. Then I will come up with my Buzzwole and probably begrudgingly Knuckle Impact or Absorption, even though I would rather Jet Punch this thing, but I cannot allow it to just go unchecked. So I do need to deal with it right now. I think I probably will end up Knuckle Impacting it just to get it out of play. And then I'm not going to bench anything else. I'm going to let my opponent kind of just figure out what to do from here, where to go from here. I need to hit a supporter, though. And you'll see, Buzzwole or Garbodor decks do this sometimes. I have plenty of supporters in the deck, plenty of Ultra Balls, but we're not playing anything like Octillery or anything like that. If my opponent goes for Absorption here on this Buzzwole, that is going to be a very big play for them. I mean, that is going to hurt. They're leaving themselves with a 0-card hand. But I guess they're taking 2 prizes if they do Absorption. That means that they are not going to be dangerous roguing this turn or this game at all. They are Absorptioning. That is really terrible for me. That means that they may be able to just go on and just destroy my whole team, really. If I don't draw into something quick. Okay, we've got a Cynthia here, so we are back in action. I'm going to go get, let's see, the Zygarde seems so bad, but I do want to thin my deck, and I don't really have too much else. I think I'll get the Zygarde just to have it, and then we've got Buzzwole. I'm going to load an energy on here. I'm just going to Jet Punch this thing. There's no point in doing anything other than Jet Punch. And then let's just Cynthia. I want to get myself into a situation where I might be able to end my opponent or something like that. Just end them to like 2, and then if I could like end them also while getting a Garbodor into play, that would be super good. Can I play? I can play Max Elixir. I should probably Ultra Ball first though to thin my deck a little bit. I can also promote Carbank is like another thing I could do maybe to eventually kind of thin my deck out a little bit. I'm gonna grab the Garbodor, evolve this guy, and then just Max Elixir. Hope I hit it on my benched. I did. My opponent probably does not have the resources to be able to, let's just do 30 damage to the Remoraid. My opponent probably does not have the resources to be able to Guzma knock out this Buzzwole this turn. I mean, if they did, they would have had to draw very strongly off of those 2 prizes in their top deck. They had really left themselves with not a lot of resources. So I am anticipating going down here, like all the way down to like 2, my opponent's going to go all the way down to 2 prizes. They do have Watch and Learn as well, so that's super annoying. But I have put myself at a position where that doesn't really bother me because I'm going to end them to 2. I will probably lock them up with Garbodor, and I'm going to take a Jet Punch knockout here. I'm not even going to go in Knuckle Impact. I don't need to. I can just Jet Punch them and take them out that way, which means that I'm safe from a Watch and Learn play. We do have 1 N in deck. Ooh, that was close. We got our 1 N, so we're going to go ahead and grab that. And then I think I put my last energy on the active Buzzwole just so that we have it. So let's go ahead and end. Hope we hit a tool. That would be great. We did get a tool. So now we're in business. There's no way my opponent can use abilities to draw out of this unless they go ahead and just rip so hard off that end of 2, which I just don't think that they're going to be able to do. So let's Jet Punch here, and then we're going to put 30 damage, also knock out the Remoraid. So we've got ourselves a 3-prize turn. And now you can see we are just very close to winning this game. All we got to do is knock out one more Pokemon GX, and we have won. So that's wild. I haven't even knuckle impacted. I just jet punched. So if my opponent does not, do something this turn significant, if they just jet punch, then I could just knuckle impact for game if I can find myself a strong energy, or if I can find myself a Fighting Fury Belt. They do have a Cynthia, so that's a little annoying that they did rip that draw there, but them not promoting any other sort of non-EX, non-GX attacker is a very kind of sketchy play on their part. I mean, that just leaves them so susceptible. I have so many ways that I could end this game right now. Let's see, what can we do to try and make sure that we win this game this turn? I want to thin my deck as much as possible. So I'm going to Ultra Ball here for the Nest Ball and the Carbink. I need to make sure that they do not whip up anything crazy. I'm going to grab this Carbink here, Carbink Break, get him out into play. Then I need to just hit a strong or a Fighting Fury Belt, and I could take it right here. I only have one strong left in deck, and actually I only have one Fighting Fury Belt left in deck, so that's like a little bit sketchy. But if I do miss it, I could just, let's see, as long as I don't do anything crazy, I could just retreat into the Carbink and then charge something up that way and try to finish the game off with a Guzma. I should have like 3 Guzma left in deck. I actually don't mind that play at all. I think like I could just retreat into Carbink, charge up my Buzzwole, and then so long as, yeah, that probably is like the safest play overall. Let's just parallel my opponent. Yep. And then I guess, I mean, maybe not end, because then what if I like don't hit it? Don't hit Guzma, but I think probably maybe Cynthia here. And then if I Cynthia, I still give myself an out to win if I hit the Fighting Fury Belt. But if I don't hit the Fighting Fury Belt, I only have one strong left in deck. So I'm cool just going ahead and trying. Yeah, let's just Cynthia. If I hit the Fighting Fury Belt, great. If not, I retreat. And then I do. So I would have retreated and then charged with Carbink and then Guzma the following turn. That probably would have been the play there. But we hit it. So the rest is history. Knuckle Impact for a 190 damage. We ended up getting there. Thank you all for watching the video. I mean, that's, what, 3 games did we get in? Like 3? I don't know. My opponent quit a bunch. But anyways, I'm excited about the deck. You can see it goes toe-to-toe with Buzzwole Lycanroc. It definitely can just be so aggressive that you could just run your opponent off the board completely before they really know what hit them. So I'm hoping that this thing really blows up at Dallas and does, not Dallas, at St. Louis and does well. We got a whole squad of people that's going to be rolling in with it. So hopefully it's going good and you guys can see maybe if there's a stream or something, hopefully it's going down at St. Louis this weekend. If not, well, you saw it in action here, and I'll show off the list real quick too. So let's go ahead and check out the list that I am probably going to be playing. I don't think that there's any other changes I would make to it. I love it just the way it is. Like I said, pure consistency. I mean, really, there's not anything crazy going on here. You play Fighting Fury Belts in order to make your Buzzwoles a little bit beefier. Also, just to be able to hit that turn 160 is so good, just with strong Fighting Fury Belt and taking those 60 knockouts. 4 Floatstone, obviously going on your Garbodor. It's great there. The 2 Nest Ball have just been so clutch. Since we're not playing Brooklet Hill, it really boosts the consistency of this deck. I like the supporter layout as 2. Riley definitely helped me out with that. The 4 Sycamore, 3 Cynthia, 4 Guzma, 1 Lily, 2 N. So that was good stuff there too. I feel like this has just been kind of a brainchild of, like, me, Natalie, and Riley coming together and work on this thing, and hopefully it buffs out. So that's it for Buzzwole Garbodor. Thank you all for watching the video. Make sure to like the video, sub to the channel, check me out on Twitter at ENJOYFriend, ENJOI friend, and see how I'm doing at the St. Louis Regional Championships. Thank you all for watching. Peace.